good morning. Welcome to the November 17th, 2020 Blue Earth County Board of Commissioners meeting. We are going to start by saying our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with our agenda review, Bob.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move approval of the agenda?
People seconds.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion? Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. And we're going to go into the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources Fish and Wildlife Services certification. So we have Ethan Moore on the line. Okay, I think you're on mute, Ethan. There you go.
My computer has a delay, so that should be unmuted now, yes?
Yep,
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so the Fish and Wildlife Service is proposing to acquire approximately 148 acres of land and fee title in, I believe it's Lincoln Township, from the Belgard family. And we're asking that the county board provide certification of this acquisition under our agreement with the DNR so that we can seek state approval to spend migratory bird conservation fund dollars on this property.
Okay.
You looking for a motion on that, Mr. Chair?
A motion? Yeah.
Yeah. I would move approval of that.
And I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Any questions?
Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. Nice and quick this morning.
Yes, thank you. Then there's just a quick, there's just a form that we'd ask that the chair of the commission sign, and you can just send a PDF of that back to my email. Jesse has my email, so
We'll take care of that.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you, folks, appreciate it.
You bet.
Ooh, what a great background.
Yeah, I like your background there.
Thank you, those are my pets.
So is that Lake Crystal?
Well, we wish it would be, someday maybe. That's not Lake Crystal though.
Okay, I remember,
Thank you, folks.
the lake just north of Lake Crystal, we used to have some come down. So, very nice. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. And now we will go into Public Works. Ryan?
Morning, Ryan.
Morning,
Good morning,
Ryan.
Commissioners. Thank you for a couple of minutes this morning to take care of a handful of urgent items that unfortunately could not wait until our next board meeting in the first meeting in December. The first item is consideration and approval of a resolution supporting a restricted crossing U-turn or an R-cut on U.S. Highway 14 at Blue Earth County State Highway 56, 598th Avenue in Eagle Lake. This is the intersection by Casey's on Highway 14 that Mr. Scott Thompson from the Minnesota Department of Transportation has spoken with us on a handful of times now. So they did request this resolution be approved by the county board today so that it would expedite their highway safety improvement program grant application for external dollars to assist with that safety improvement project.
Brunder will move approval.
People will second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody that we had a good discussion about this at 2 work sessions, and they had the survey done in the Eagle Lake area and had a pretty good response, and this was not the perfect answer to this intersection, but it is probably the best answer at this point in time. And I was lucky enough yesterday to actually see how the R-cuts work in a 53-foot trailered semi, because I had one of Commissioner Peoples' employees had a semi at my shop, and he took me out and we went around it, and so I actually got to see how it worked in an actual semi with a trailer, and it's a 53-foot trailer, so it should be the longest trailer. And he got around that R-cut without any issues at all, not even using both lanes. So I think it'll be a huge safety improvement for this intersection.
I'm very impressed with the commissioner that would,
He was,
do a little homework there.
Your driver was very accommodating.
I was going to say, obviously Commissioner People has wonderful drivers.
Yeah, I was going to say it's all the driving, but I think part of it is the length, yeah.
Great.
So that's all I have for comment, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion? Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The second resolution included in your board packet is a resolution of support for the City of Mankato application for relocation and rehabilitation of the Kern Bridge. This is an application in support of Mankato's application for federal dollars and to take ownership of the Kern Bridge for the crossing over the Blue Earth River between Land of Memories Park and Sibley Park. So the city did ask for resolution of support from Blue Earth County for their application. I did verify with the Minnesota Department of Transportation that there was no perceived conflict of interest, because I do sit on the one of 7 members on the committee that is working through the selection process, but there was no perceived issues with our support of this application. I think it's critical that we do continue to support this project, and I fairly evaluate all of the applications that move forward.
I'll move approval.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to say that I think this is this is either between Wills and my district, but it's been a long time discussion on what would take place. And I did have a gentleman earlier in the year that remembers it, and he wanted to put it in where the city of Mankato is looking at it, in the out there, Land of Memories in Sibley. And then at the time, we didn't think that would even be possible because of it's so short, the span, but then I guess engineers work at it. So it was interesting that city of Mankato then did put a resolution or a bid for it. So I hope it works out, because that would fit in well with the purpose of the dollars for where it would go. Yep. So.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a really naive question? I guess I was surprised that we went through the process of taking it down, storing it. Why couldn't these applications have come before it was taken down? I'm just asking the question.
No, good question. I think there was a sense of urgency to get the bridge salvaged off of the river because of the failing limestone block abutments, and I think there was also intent that as the bridge is taken down, we would want to take it, disassemble it, take it into a shop, and rehabilitate any members that were maybe damaged or compromised. There was some. Have somebody really look it over very closely before it's re-erected. That material, that wrought iron, is really variable in strength. So I think there's definitely a need to take a close look at it before each piece is put back up.
That makes sense. I was just kind of thinking about it.
Yep. Had we had a destination for it right away, maybe it could have just been kept in place, but getting it out of the river valley where it was located would have been challenging as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Well, I certainly agree that this isn't a very needed place for it. It would place 2 of Mankato's busiest parks together. I think it will enhance both the parks, both Sibley and Land of Memories, and probably create a whole new set of post-COVID things to do.
Yes.
So hope that the city of Mankato does get it, and that I'm completely for this. This is awesome.
you know, when you think about it, it might even help when the lights come back up at Sibley, help with the road not being clogged, trying to get into Sibley, because they can go into Land of Memories.
Never know.
Yeah.
Never know. Any other discussion? Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for your time this morning. Just one parting comment, a reminder that we are having the public open house, virtual open house meeting tonight for County Road 57, North Riverfront Drive at US Highway 14. Starting at 4:30, beginning, we'll have a brief 10 to 12 slide presentation by myself and Tony Rothschild from Bolton and Mink, and then we'll leave it as an open forum to answer questions. So if anybody is available, we'd love to have you online. If not, we understand as well.
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Yes.
Do you have a time frame as to when a decision will be made as to where the bridge goes?
Yes, what specifically off the top of my head, I can get
That's
you
okay, I
exact.
just wondered if it was.
I think the objective would be that by New Year's, we have a strong indication. So I
Okay.
think into January, we'll be working on reviewing those again. I don't have it right off the top of my head, but yeah,
That's okay.
moving forward.
I was wondering if it was next summer or, you know.
No, in fact, the reason I think the deadline for submittal is looming is why the city requested this resolution at this meeting and not my regularly scheduled December meeting, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. We have Mark Manderfield.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark. How are you this morning?
Doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Mark.
I'm here on behalf of Planning and Zoning Department to review and hopefully have approval of the amendments to both the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment bylaws that we discussed at the work session in October. Those bylaws were a topic of discussion at the November Planning Commission meeting as well. The Planning Commission did discuss a few items at length. One of them was the number of members on the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment that were in the unincorporated areas. And then the other one would be the term limits that we talked about at the work session as well. They did make some recommendations for the board's consideration. They did like to see that the Planning Commission members would be increase the number of members from the unincorporated areas from 3 to 4. If you recall the work session discussion, statute requires at least 2. Staff had proposed an increase to 3, and now the Planning Commission is recommending an increase to 4 there. Again, that board is a 7-member board, including one of the commissioners. And then the other proposal that they had would be removing the term limits in the bylaws. The reasoning they had there was, of course, the Planning Commission serves at the pleasure of the county board here, and that they could be removed at any time, so they felt that just the automatic removal of a member at the end of a certain term limit, whatever that happened to be, might reduce the amount of experience that is on the board and not necessarily serve a purpose regarding, just a sheer number, that discretionary number of the term limits there. So those were the 2 recommendations from the Planning Commission. In the board packet, we do have the staff recommended work session outcome there, not including the recommendations from the Planning Commission. But if the board would like to discuss those changes and make any changes to the language there, staff has prepared some recommended language if the board would like to accept the Planning Commission's recommendations.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I sat in on the Board of Adjustments, but I got bumped out, so I didn't get in on all this conversation, but I was in on the whole entire conversation for the Planning Commission. And they did feel very strongly, I would say, about these 2 recommendations. And I certainly would support moving this direction with the 4 people from the unincorporated and 2 from the incorporated. And then I certainly don't have a problem with the term limits. Someone sitting here for 18 years and don't have a term limit, I certainly would support that. And I think it was also brought up and was very clear that we have the authority to remove these people even in a midterm, from what I understand. So it's not like they're on there forever. If we don't like what they're doing, we can have them removed or just not reappoint them. So I would be supportive of both these recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Board. And I appreciate their input, and they do a great job for us. And
Do we need a motion on this?
We would need some action.
Would you like to make that a motion, Kip?
I would make a motion to approve the new bylaws with the 2 recommendations from the Planning and Zoning and the Board of Adjustments.
Will Purvis seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Jesse, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
All right,
Chair Sturenberg.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thanks for putting that together, Mark. And as you heard at that meeting that night also, that they knew you guys stuck a lot of time and energy into this, so I think they were very appreciative of getting that updated too, so.
Perfect, thank you. One reminder, I did talk at the work session, just briefly about a questionnaire coming out on the home occupations. That should be coming out this week here, so just to be aware of it, that'll be coming, so, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. And then we will jump to drainage. We have Craig and,
Craig was on this morning with us with some other stuff. There he is.
hey, Craig.
Hello.
Morning, Craig.
Morning, Craig.
We have 3 items here for you today. First of all is the approval of the single-year levies. You had in your board package, you should have all the recommended levies. This actually went before the Drainage Advisory Group a week ago here, so it has been reviewed. I don't know. If you don't have any other questions, I'd recommend approval.
Will Purvis moves approval.
Brunder will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to say that we spent over an hour the other day with several staff and Will and I, and went through these one by one and talked about how we get to get all of them out of the negative. That is our goal every year. We usually get 1 or 2 out, but then 1 or 2 go back in. But we spend a lot of time putting this together, and staff does a great job beforehand, before Will and I even get there and have it laid out and talk about the ones that are going to be an issue, because there's lots to talk about. So we do go through them one by one, though.
I think. Carrie, I think you got your mic on.
There.
Isn't it nice that Jesse can mute?
There you go.
powerful.
I absolutely agree with you, Kip, and I think it's very good to note that these things aren't just a couple minutes of us voting on this. There's hours of work done behind the scenes before this comes up to us. So a good point, Kip. Thank you. Any other discussion? Jesse, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Sturenberg.
Aye. Did he have something else?
Yes, he does.
Yep.
I thought we had to do the second one too, but maybe
We
not.
have-
Yep.
The second item we have for the board today is the approval of the multi-year levies. That's also in the board packet. What we'd be looking at in the board packet is all the multi-year levies. There's only 2 new ones, and that's for County Ditch 92 and County Ditch 28. Those would be at the bottom of the list there for the multi-year levies. If there's no other questions, I'd recommend approval for the multi-year levies.
Brunder will move approval.
Will Purvis seconds.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Jesse, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Sturenberg.
Aye.
And our final item for the day, oh, excuse me. Final item for the day is the setting of the hearing date for County Ditch 86. We're recommending that be December 1st at 9 o'clock.
Brunder will move approval.
Purvis seconds.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer,
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder,
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
All right, and right to Human Services. We got Phil on the line, or?
We're running early, I think.
Bob just went to get him. They are here in
All
person.
right.
He'll be right in, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Morning,
Good morning.
Phil.
Good morning.
Bill?
Morning, Kelly.
Morning, Kelly.
Kelly?
You ready for me, Mr. Chair?
We are ready for you.
Sounds good. Well, as always, thank you for the chance to tell you a little bit about what's going on in Human Services, and obviously Kelly here as well to help us understand the current status of COVID and what's going on in the public health arena. As far as action points, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I have three, and the first is under financial assistance, MRCI, and it's SNAP, employment and training. And so this purchase of service agreement is for SNAP recipients, and it's required for able-bodied adults without dependents to help them find and keep employment. And it is a renewal contract. The funds are very similar to the past year, which is approximately $9,000. Sometimes during the course of the year, we will have excess funds, and so they do send out extra money if there is any throughout the course. But we start with this, what I consider a relatively small amount. The term is October 1st of 2020 to September 30th of 21. And then under community-based services, a couple of items that will look familiar. Brown County Evaluation Center. It fulfills our statutory mandate for detox for citizens who reside in our county, and I'm sure the board's aware that this is an unusual location issue too. If anyone is in our county that is intoxicated needing detox, we also are responsible for that. So that is a unique stipulation in there. A lot of the counties up north have a big issue with that just because they have a lot of traffic during the summer and have a lot of detox. So there's kind of a uniqueness to how detox is structured. Brown County Evaluation Center obviously is our primary resource and placement for all of our detox individuals. We are a member county, and that means we do have priority of space if needed. The per diem increased from $430 per day in 2019 and 2020 to $443 for 2021. And the term of this agreement, January 1st of 21 through December 31st of 21. And the final action item, Mankato Department of Public Safety. They provide transportation backup to detox for people that are in need of the service within the city limits of Mankato. And they asked for a 2.5% increase to $78.89 per hour. I'm sorry, that's what the previous was, to $80.86 per hour, reflecting the new rate for 2021. And that is follows Mankato's COLA for this year. Mileage will also be paid at the IRS rate for 2021. Term of the contract, January 1st through December 31st of 2021. Those are the action items I have for today.
I'll move approval.
Second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just a question. I'm assuming that $9,000 doesn't cover what it costs us to do that.
Right. It's a very small amount, and I think when I read it, I have to say, Commissioner, I was taken aback by it just because it is such a small amount, and I checked with staff and said that's what we really get. We have gotten really sizable bonuses in the past, like this past year, I think it was $40,000. So I think it's more of a prepayment and then see how the year goes. but we can't bank on any more than that, and you run out of the money after you serve so many people, and you're left trying to either do the service out of the goodness of your heart for MRCI and ourselves, or people go without. And so I think it's a low number is how I look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
well, I was just trying to figure how many, I guess for that amount, how many kind of people can you really help?
Yeah, and I don't
I know
have
it
that
varies.
number, Commissioner. It probably does vary because of the intensity of it. Some people, it might be employed, we're just helping them stay employed. Other people might be starting from scratch. Depending on how employable they are, it could be as simple as a referral, which would cost us very little money. But if we get more involved and provide a case management-like service, you're gonna eat up a lot of dollars quickly. So I do not know the overall number, but I can certainly get that too. I have a follow-up.
Kind of,
Yeah, data point.
maybe even
for you.
over several years or so.
Sure,
just
yep.
kinda-
I'll get more information on that. That's a
Yeah.
great question. I don't know that answer.
Thank you.
One of the concerns I have is I was on the AMC's Health and Human Services meeting yesterday, and I think there's going to be a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
They're, 43% of the general fund budget? And they've got a budget down $2.5 billion.
Yeah.
So it's billion, it's a B,
Yes.
yeah.
It's gotta be
It's a
B,
B.
yes.
I know that,
Bugger,
what?
B.
A B, it's $1
B.
billion, 2.5. And one of the challenges is it usually flows downhill.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, as we all know, and it's a pattern that is very predictable, that when you see DHS cutting, which they already are in direct care and treatment, making kind of drastic structural changes. Yeah, we don't come out of that unscathed, and Bob and I have talked about that a bit, but we know a lot more is coming and how to prepare for that in all of these areas.
Yeah.
I would guess an area like this won't be touched because there's not a lot to grab up, but that bonus money I was talking about, that probably will not be seen, and so it'll change how many people we serve back to that issue.
Challenges.
My question with the Brown County Evaluation Center, that's a per diem rate. How much have they lost this year because of COVID? I mean, we don't have the amount of people drinking at nighttime. We don't have the students out at night, which we've had quite a few. I mean, that's usually where we get a large amount. Coming from Blue Earth County, that's where we get them from. How is what we call the detox center doing?
Yeah, maybe
I
Commissioner
can-
Purvis can answer that more accurately.
I can answer that. They're actually having a very good year.
Really?
Part of that is they are, before they weren't taking meth patients, and they figured out how to do that safely and effectively. We have a new executive director there who has come up with some very good ideas how to move forward. And other counties that don't contract with Brown County are putting patients in there. So the evaluation center is actually having a good year. They've had a few COVID-19 things come up, but not as many as they had expected.
Wow.
I think people aren't getting picked up as often maybe, but it doesn't mean they're not drinking.
Absolutely, and Mr. Chair, Commissioner Purvis, I think the experience we've had, if that mirrors at all the whole detox mission, but that there was a significant dip when COVID hit, and people did kind of hole up, I think, but it's come back in a big wave, and so I would have said just from a Blue Earth County perspective, that we've seen that kind of go down and then back up again. The other thing that we really appreciate, even though it's an expensive way to do what we need to do, is when people are on commitment for chemical use, Detox has been willing to hold those folks for us at this high per diem. We don't have any other choice, and this is cheaper than a hospital stay. So it's kind of hold your nose and get through the situation, but they have really helped us in that way. So I think that's also helped with their bottom line. It helps us. It's a win-win. We've advocated, and I know Detox is looking at that as maybe a different per diem rate or different structure to do that. because you're paying for everything detox offers, when really for a commitment, you're just holding somebody in a safe place. So it's a slightly different level of service. So we're trying to split that here.
The board has had a lot of discussion
Okay.
on that, and have actually looked at maybe expanding that service, which
great.
would result in a smaller per diem.
That'd be awesome, and it really is a win. I hope it's a win-win for both their mission and for ours. So I know our county human service agencies feel that way, that it would be a great thing. So.
Great.
Can I ask another question of Commissioner
Of course.
Purvis? Are they full most of the time, or? I was just curious, yeah.
For the most part, they can hold 16 patients.
Okay.
I think they pretty traditionally have about 2 people that are under commitment, that, take up 2 beds.
Yeah.
And so they usually have 13 and 14 beds, and for the most part, they're at capacity most of the time.
That's kind of what I was thinking, just because, as Phil said, they're also taking people from other counties that aren't members.
That's right, and you are all aware that we've lost several detoxes throughout the state, and some of those were our backup facilities. So at high tide, it is a lot of transportation for law enforcement, part of this other contract we have today. And just to find a bed, just like with treatment beds, detox beds are, I think, going to be more and more a prized commodity.
It's good to know. I mean, it's, it's one of those good things but bad things. I mean, you don't want it to be filled up. You want it to be empty.
Right.
But all of us understand that that's not going to happen.
That's right.
But it's good that we have a facility like that we can use, so.
Very much.
Any other discussion?
Virtual doesn't work very well with this, does it?
No, virtual detox, we'll work on that, Commissioner.
Any other discussion? Jesse, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye.
Well, thank you all. I do have a number of informational and discussion items. I do have one that I brought back. I believe Commissioner People asked last month about some additional data to one of the contracts I brought. I'll talk about childcare and daycare and foster care, and then I'll turn it over to Kelly to give us an update on COVID. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, if I could just refer back to a contract I believe Commissioner People asked when I brought the Carlson Consulting contract. It's for parenting assessments for child protection. And the question, I think, was how much do we spend annually? We had the amount of the assessment itself, which was $1,800 per assessment, but didn't have the total. And so for that vendor, we spent last year in 19 just short of $65,000, and they are for sure our heavy user. So the total of all services was like $75,000, another $10,000. So they do the vast majority of that. But I think the question of just what's the ballpark, 75 overall, that vendor 65,000. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. In your packet, you have some information on childcare, and this is one of those. We have a couple areas. Disability services actually are quite like this too, where we're given a budget, and you try to manage a budget without a lot of ability to move things and how they come, and so you end up hoping to get lucky. And I think this year we really have managed this very well. You'll see at the bottom of the first page the 96.86%. That's against our allocation for the year, so that's a good number to me. Last year, we're about 3% under if we track out the rest of the year this way. Last year, we were 3% over, which is also a fair number, and we did not have a waiting list last year, and we did not have a waiting list this year. So the only way we can really manage it is by using a waiting list when it gets to be high volume. This year, we did not have to do that, which I'm very pleased, especially this year, that we didn't have to do that, so we were able to serve people that had this need, and the same with last year. It's very hard to be sure that next year will go as well. Just a couple of things to look at on this spreadsheet. That first column that says monthly number of eligible families, that gives you some idea about scale and scope of how many families we're serving. And then I guess it's the fifth column over, monthly average cost per family, how much support goes to these families is there. At the bottom table, you'll see the direct allocation of $928,000, and then our projection, which gets us that final percentage number. The only other thing, there's another detailed chart on the next page, which I won't spend a lot of time on. I hope it's similarly straightforward, but there are a couple of other columns on here that are not on the first chart. The second column in the number of eligible children, so instead of family, you look at how many kids did we serve. And then if you move over again, I guess it's 6 columns, it says monthly average cost per child. So you can kind of see just how that breaks out per child then as well, which I thought was an interesting picture. So for what we're given and how important this is, and obviously this year has just been skewed. I mean, like the DTEX, Bob and I were just talking about DTEX 2 and how it's gone up and down, and how do you tell the story for this year. I don't feel you really can compare it to previous years. The same with this. We skated through this very nicely. Staff did a great job, but it's been quite an interesting year with COVID, and I'm sure we'll see that reflect when we get to the data for 2020.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chair? Now, this is for daycare expenses, correct?
Correct, yes. So people have to qualify. It is based on income. You'll hear it referred to as basic sliding fee, or BSF, is the acronym with all of our acronyms. And so it is that group of folks. There's other, obviously, daycares, private daycares people can access, and all of that. But this is for that particular carve-out, correct?
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure that I was
Absolutely.
correct. And I'm wondering, with unfortunately people losing their jobs, if that's impacted this.
Right. And there is an allowance, back to like even that previous one with MRCI, that ability to use daycare if you're looking for a job, seeking work, you know, those types of things. So there is some accommodation for that as well. But there's all kinds of regulations on that, of how long and how often do you have to show good faith as far as looking for a job to continue to get this support.
Thank you.
Yeah. My last slide for you all today is just regarding licensing activities. So we have licensors that do this good work in human services, and it's a very complex thing. I asked Ann Broskoff to just write me up, okay, what do we license? What does the state license? If there's a child protection report, who goes in and does that investigation? And it is a page and a half of single-spaced stuff. So I often, even for this, I referred to it and asked Ann a question to make sure I was presenting this correctly. The simple version of all of that on these two areas, licensed family daycare, the first 2 block charts, the arrow and the chart to the right. So newly licensed home, this is an area of great concern, as we know, is that we're having a hard time with the needs of daycare against people willing to provide this service. And you'll see that kind of downward cycle from 2016 of newly licensed homes. We'd like to see that number go higher and higher, obviously, even as our community has grown, to reflect that. I suppose the good news is you look at 2019, we had 2. That's a very scary number. And last year, we had 7. So I think that's good in relative terms, but we could use a lot more. And we certainly do, hear this from the community as far as a need that we could certainly use more services and try to incentivize people willing to do this work. And then the chart to the right, number of days of daycare homes, and so that's the overall number, and you'll see that in 2016 we were as high as 126, and now we're down to 91. I have to say, pleased that we're not going lower and lower. That's the good news, but I would like to see that number go back up towards those numbers 5 years ago. So that's just an area of great concern. Child foster care, much more of a stable situation, more flat, and as you know, we've done this over the years, is brought in even foster care providers to the board just to recognize their years of service and how we depend on this service for our mission and the kids they serve. You'll see the newly licensed homes very flat, 18 in the past year, and the number of foster homes overall also very stable and flat at 51. We picked up a couple from the previous year. The circle talks about relative care, and so currently we have 17 homes that are licensed to somebody that is a relative, and so that usually is those foster care, I mean, those child protection situations where an event has happened, we need a stabilizing place to put them. Is there a family member involved? If there is, then we need to license them, do the background checks, and all of those things as well. A very important piece of our business, and this is something where we actually start with that. We try to exhaust all those options first before we put them into a foster care where they wouldn't obviously know anyone. So that's the information I had for you today. If there's any other questions, hearing none, I'll let Kelly come up and talk about COVID. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Morning, Kelly.
Morning.
Good morning, Kelly.
All right, put my glasses on so I can see again. So, thanks for having me back. As I jump into the update today, yesterday we ended the day with 3,123 cases total in Blue Earth County since early 2020. Our testing rates, so I went and looked at first week of October and then last week, and we have had the first week of October compared to last week, we had an 88.49% increase in testing. However, at the same time period, we had a 368% increase in positive cases. So while testing can account for some of the additional positive cases, there is definitely spread of the disease. It is widespread at this point. So many healthcares in our area are struggling with staffing. I was just on a call yesterday where I was hearing they were down 20% staffing. So even if there are beds, sometimes there are not staff to manage those beds. So it's kind of a combination of those two factors that can play into some of the updates that you're hearing. Some of the efforts for Blue Earth County Public Health, we're continuing to work on joining the regional system with MDH to complete interviews for COVID positive cases in our county. We aren't quite up and running yet. There were 6 different systems we needed to have usernames and passwords for: Citrix, IEX, LMS. It sounds right, all of the acronyms, and there's a number of other ones. We ran into a little hitch with Amazon Connect that we're working through this week, so hopefully that will be our last hurdle and we will be up and running. Staff, I believe one staff is fully trained with a commitment of over 35 hours to conduct the training. Some trainings were 10, 15 minutes, some trainings were 7 hours, so there's definitely been a heavy training commitment. We have 2 staff that will be trained, a program coordinator who will be trained, and we committed 16 hours earlier this year to MDH to help with that effort. The state is taking some steps to kind of help. There's a backlog right now of cases that need to be interviewed. Right now there's over 1,372 cases just in Blue Earth County that still need to be assigned an investigator. So and that was from our list as of yesterday. Some of those may have been assigned and that number may have changed. They're shortening the actual interview to make it quicker to get through, focusing on the core questions that have the most benefit. So that's a good change. They're hiring staff and they are making some technology changes. I heard on an update this week that should hopefully help that backlog as well. Essential services, we served over 100 Blue Earth County residents with essential services. Because of the current backlog, we had concerns that maybe residents were not receiving an interview quickly enough to identify the need for essential services. So we did some messaging yesterday on social media, pushing out our number to call and identifying, food, groceries, medication, housing, and some of those other very specific needs that if you have COVID-19, if you're quarantined or isolated. So if you had a quarantine is, of course, if you've had like a close contact, you're not sick, but you're monitoring to see if you get sick. Isolation is if you are already sick. So we pushed out that information so residents can call us.
Can I ask a question there?
Go ahead.
I know with our CARES Act, we saw fewer people actually needing some assistance. I'm assuming this would fall under that line item. If they need food or assistance. Phil's saying yes.
Well, yeah, and I might just say that whole category that we have, the 5 areas that we're trying to serve, I think what we have seen in a little way disappointingly so, is that some of it hasn't come to the fore yet. So I know Kelly just had an announcement go out, was it Facebook or something, just saying, hey, if there is these natural supports that you need, go to public health. We have, even before CARES money, provided this as part of our mandate. So it is a mandate either way, but some of that does spill over. I think you're absolutely right. It's the same category of CARES, but I think public health has been doing this since the very beginning as part of our core mandate, and so it won't go away even once CARES money goes away, if that makes sense.
Thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. How are long-term care facilities holding up? Are they, I assume that they're stressed?
They are stressed as well. They certainly struggle with staffing, and I know a number of our facilities have engaged support either through our Minnesota Response volunteers or through the National Guard as they have gone through COVID-19 with their staff and with their residents at times.
Mr. Chair, maybe if I could go back to Commissioner Landcamer's question. The money that was allocated out of the CARES Act for individual assistance did not include the essential services.
Okay.
That was a different kind of set of funding that was made available. The essential services, I do believe, are being paid out of the CARES fund, but not in that individual assistance category.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Last month I was on vacation, and I know my staff talked a little bit about the No Barrier Community Center, or testing center that was being set up later that week, actually. So we have some statistics that have come out of that testing site. Week 1, there was 486 people tested, so that was a partial week, with a 9.4% positivity rate. Week 2 was 1,437 tested, with a 15.71% positive rate. Week 3 was 2,773 were tested, with a 17.71% positive rate. And just last week, week 4, we had 3,695 people tested with an 18.62 positive rate, so a trend with increasing positive cases. This is regional data. This doesn't mean these are all Blue Earth County residents. We've been unable to get the county level data at this point, but we're working with the state to get that information, which will help us make decisions locally.
All right, thank you very much.
Vance and I helped that first week because we were both negative.
And then, of course, on the horizon is vaccine planning. So we continue to engage in all of the activities to vaccinate folks. We attend calls. We're ordering supplies, syringes, alcohol prep pads, all of the different things that you need for a vaccine clinic. Of course, it's going to look very different than during H1N1, where people were much closer together in line. That isn't going to be able to happen this year. So working with some of the logistics and planning with that, partnering with emergency management and other community partners to do walkthroughs and identify storage needs and all of the other pieces that go with vaccine planning. And definitely last but not least, public health staff continue to provide their normal services, including home visits to medically fragile babies, working with pregnant women who are in crisis through our First Steps program, coordinating and supporting our elderly residents and a growing number of them that need help staying in their home. And our TB caseload, our active TB caseload has increased as well over the last month with, I believe, 4 or 5 active cases right now that also require contact tracing and investigation and involve essential services.
Wow.
Nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
Boy.
The days do not go slow.
Thanks for all
Thank
you're
you.
doing.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day, guys. Thanks.
All right. And now we will go into our EDA meeting. Can call this to order. Bob, do we have an agenda review?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda this morning.
Move approval of the agenda.
Second. Seconds.
Motion and second, any discussion? Jesse, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. And the minutes?
Move approval of the minutes. Landcamer.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Jesse, could you call a roll?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. Bob, would you go ahead with the payment standard schedule?
Well, Mr. Chair, I believe we have Nancy on the virtual meeting, so I'm hoping that she's available to share some of this information.
Are you on?
I think she just muted herself.
There you go.
This is Nancy. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to present to you today the payment standards for our Housing Choice Voucher Program. And these payment standards set the maximum subsidies that families can receive under the EDA each month. And the payment standards are actually based off of the fair market rents established by HUD annually. This year, we actually saw an increase in the standards, which is great. Seems like the last few years have been bouncing back and forth. A decrease and an increase, so it's good to see a fix this year. The EDA, we have the opportunity to base our payment standards at 90 to 110% of the fair market rent. And this year, we are recommending that we accept these payment standards at 102% of the fair market rent, except for the 1 bedroom and the 4 bedrooms, we have them at 100% of the fair market rent. And these payment standards, we take into a number of factors as we put together the payment standards. And the first one is funding availability from HUD. And the only time we actually see a decrease from the fair market rent at that 100% is when HUD is able to fund us at full capacity, and that might be between 90 and 100%. But HUD is currently funding us at 100% of our needs, so we do not want any of our standards set below the 100% mark. The other thing we look at is the participants that we are serving. We want to make sure that they're not paying more than 30% of their income. And right now, we're in a good state. Pretty much all of our families are paying 30%, and even with a 3% rent increase that landlords have been continuing to use, these families are still in an affordable range. So we're really not looking at changing the standards, except for the 4 bedrooms and the 1 bedrooms. With the increase of the fair market rents, it put those below the 100%, so we want to bring them up to the 100%. Okay. And the last thing that we do look at is unit availability in the community, as well as lease-up time, how long it takes for families to lease up. And usually, we anticipate about a 2 to 4 month period. You know, COVID, we're actually seeing more of a 4 to 6 in some of the cases. And we're seeing the biggest length of time are for those 1 bedroom households. So we can see that there's a shortage of 1 bedroom units in our community. And so then if we have someone that has criminal background or poor rental history, they're struggling to find because of that. People are being chosen ahead of them. So we did look at a landlord incentive program to kind of help with that, to alleviate some of that. But otherwise, our standards, we really felt were within the range. And set us up to make sure that if we were to do a decrease again, we could bring our standards up to like 107%, still being within that 10%. So right now, we're recommending that the board approve our payment standards at 102% of the fair market, except for the 1 bedrooms and the 4 bedrooms, and they're at 100% of the market. And these standards would go into effect on December 1st. Do you have any questions?
No.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So, a 4 bedroom might be $1,664 a month. The participant will only pay, will pay 30% of their income, that will be their contribution. And HUD picks up the rest, is that correct?
Okay. We didn't hear that, Nancy.
So the families would pay only 30% of their household income for that rent amount, and the EDA through the voucher program would have to do the balance.
All right,
And those
thank you.
standards are for rent and utility costs.
All right.
It's really hard to understand her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that last
Something utilities at the end?
Yeah, so the payment numbers will not just rent amounts, their rent and utility costs
Okay,
for their obligation.
okay.
All right. And do we have a motion from the board?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, we got a second, any discussion? Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks,
Thank you, Nancy.
Nancy.
All right. And we go into administrative services. Bob?
I'll move to adjourn the EDA.
Purvis
Oh.
seconds.
I am so sorry. Discussion on the adjournment? Jesse, could you call a roll?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. Now we'll go into administrative services. Thank you, Kip.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the first item is the county board minutes for November 3rd.
I'll move approval. Landcamer?
Second. People.
Got a motion and second on the minutes. Any discussion? Jesse, call a roll.
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye.
Next are the bills for the 2 weeks indicated.
Purvis moves.
Brunder will second.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion? Jesse, call a roll, please.
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. And we have human resources.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 11 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. We just have informational items for the board this morning. We have 2 promotions, one in the administration office, the communications manager and business analyst. Jesse has been promoted to fill that role. And then we had a clerical specialist in our community corrections department that has been promoted to the office coordinator there. We also had a lateral transfer of a case manager in the behavioral health unit from the clubhouse to a case management role in human services. Then we filled a position in the mental health area, the intake position. We also had a resignation of the human resources coordinator. And so we've got 5 recruitments that were initiated, either resulting from that particular resignation or other ones that have occurred in the recent past as we reviewed those, given our flexible hiring freeze. So we've initiated recruitment for that human resources coordinator, an administrative assistant, a nurse in the mental health center, and then a behavioral health case manager at the clubhouse, as well as a financial assistance case aide. I'd be happy to answer any questions. the
Are
board
some of
might
these
have.
recruitments in-house, or are they all open?
These are all external recruitments
External
at this point.
Okay, good.
The human resources coordinator might be an internal one. We're still kind of evaluating that, but
Sounds
that
good.
one might be the exception to that statement.
Any other questions on that? Okay,
All right.
so we go to our grants.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item number 12 in the packet is a memo again on the business assistance grant awards that the board has been approving recently as a part of our CARES Act funding. We have an additional 43 applications for the board's consideration today. Staff have reviewed those applications and determined those to be eligible since the November 3rd board meeting. Those 43 applications total $338,654.68. We did basically cut off applications after November 6th because of the December 1st deadline for getting payments out under the CARES Act. So this additional payment, if approved, along with the administrative fee that we will be paying the city of Mankato for processing all of these applications, brings our overall total to $2,185,578. That is slightly above the amount that was allocated, so we would be over our initial allocation by $128,000 roughly. But as the board indicated in a previous discussion about that potential, we took it that there was support from the board to reallocate funds within our overall CARES Act budget to support these additional applications. And so bringing those forward today for the board's consideration. We'll also point out that there were 6 other applications that required additional information that haven't been received, and I guess I would appreciate any direction the board might have for staff if those 6 additional applications do provide the information. Do you want us to try and get those in if we can? Still kind of subject to whether we can get all the paperwork signed and sealed before December 1st.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to see those be funded if possible. I think when we originally sent the mark at 2 million, we knew that we were going to have changes within our 8.2 million. So I think if there are additional businesses that are eligible that we can help, I think it's a good thing.
I don't disagree. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think that would be good if we have it.
Sounds like you have a consensus with the board on that.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll continue to try and connect with those businesses and assist them if we can.
And I will move approval of the list that we have in front of us today.
Second.
Second.
Oh, I had second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye. All right. We've got,
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 13 in the packet is the Community Resource Grant Program. Again, we've talked with the board on a couple of occasions about this program, and we had 7 applicants for this program. This was a program designed to try and assist those nonprofits that work with the county in some capacity, primarily in our human services area, but focusing on employment, food support, other human service related items. And so we're bringing forward today the 7 businesses that are indicated there that have completed the application process. They've been reviewed internally by staff and determined to be eligible. So recommending approval of those grant awards.
Landcamer moves approval.
People seconds.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Good.
Jesse, could you call a roll, please?
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye.
Item number 14 in your packet is the renewal of an amendment to our food service contract in the jail. Elior, or DBA, doing business as Summit Food Service LLC, has had this contract for a number of years. Within that contract is a provision that looks at the food away from home consumer price index for any increases. And that CPI is showing a 3.5% increase. And so the amendment being brought forward is being recommended by staff.
Purvis moves approval.
Brunner will second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? So this is basically saying that the food prices are going up.
Yep.
That's correct.
And I think anybody that buys groceries understands that. So it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Jesse, call a roll, please.
Commissioner Purvis.
Aye.
Commissioner People.
Aye.
Commissioner Landcamer.
Aye.
Commissioner Brunder.
Aye.
Chair Stuenberg.
Aye.
Well, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 15 in your packet is the financial status report for October 31st. So it's 10 months into our fiscal year. You'll see our total revenues are just under $76 million, pardon me, compared to last year where we were at about $69 million. Our total expenditures were a little over 80 million, down from 87 million at this time last year. We are seeing that many of our costs that are controllable are down from last year, largely because of COVID-related impacts on the county. But we also see expenses that are up as we're spending the CARES money and those sorts of things. So it is a little hard to compare year to year in this particular environment. We are seeing that our revenues are tracking well overall, and our expenditures still are tracking well. Also, the contract and fees line is one that we always watch at this time of the year as the road projects are wrapping up and we're kind of closing out some of those projects, and you'll see that we are below our budget in those areas. Whether we'll hit those marks as we close out the year or not, I would guess at this point we probably won't hit that $35 million level that's indicated in our budget. So overall, we're sitting pretty well at this point. We know that the November report will show our tax collections for the second half, so that's a number we'll be watching closely to see if there are any obvious COVID impacts that show up in those numbers. But overall, I would say our operations are holding up well under this environment, and we should finish out the year probably a little better than anticipated. On the enterprise fund for the Ponderosa, you'll see that total revenues are at 2.9 million against total expenses of 3.3 million. Again, we had some significant investments in machinery and land improvements, so that's not an unexpected result at this point. You'll notice too that our fees for services line is up over a comparable period last year. That's indicative of, I think, people having time at home, and there's been a lot more cleaning out, so to speak, that has occurred, and so our fees have been stronger than expected this year.
There we go. Silver lining or
whatever. The second page has our cash and investment balances. You'll see up towards the top, the total available funds sit at 42.6 million. That number will be higher at the end of November when the tax collections are allocated out and distributed. In terms of our total county funds, closer to the bottom of the page, you'll see we're sitting at 105 million, almost 106 million, up a little bit from the previous year. So again, we're sitting in strong cash and investment position at this point in the year. I would be happy to answer any questions the board might have about the financial status report.
Clean.
Just a comment. I think we've been extremely fortunate to have the CARES money this year. It doesn't sound like it's going to be extended, but we'll wait and see. You know, just today, we looked at a 3% increase in something, I don't remember what it was, for, actually I do remember now, for detox, 2.5% increase in mileage for the city of Mankato, 3.5% food service for the jail, and, you know, we've got 2.5% for all of our employees. I mean, and we're not going to have CARES Act money next year, so it's always something to think about. I think we've been really lucky to have the CARES Act money to not only help with some of our programs, public safety and the public health, but I don't think we're going to have it next year. And our businesses in the community and other places in the community, we've really been able to help with a lifeline to many of those services. So lucky us to be able to do that.
We just hope that next year, these retail places can hold on, because
Yeah.
I have a gut feeling that next year is going to be a rough year.
I think it is too, and I do worry about our businesses that are just hanging on right now, and will they be able to in the future, so.
Yep.
Yep.
Agreed. Thank you, Bob. Anything else?
That's all I have for you, Mr. Chair.
Guess we would go into our commissioner reports, and I will start with Mark.
I'm always, when you can't decide, you always have them go first.
No, you're the chosen one.
I'm chosen one. Let's see, we've got, I'm looking at, let's see.
I could start,
Yeah, because
if that works for
I
you,
got the
Mr.
wrong
Chair.
one.
You know, Colleen.
I got
you
the
go-
wrong one. I'm
You
okay
go
now.
right ahead, and I'll.
You can do that.
I'll leave Mark to another time.
On the 4th, we had department heads. On the 6th, we had AMC District 7, and I thought that went pretty well. On the 7th, the Historical Society had their big event for the year, so that's always a good thing. On the 10th, we had a work session. Also on the 10th, Greater Mankato Growth had their Hall of Fame awards. You know, Jesse, I was thinking we probably should get that list and send them a congratulations card too.
Good idea.
It was a nice event. On the 12th, we had Intergov. Kip and I had Intergov with City of Mankato, talked about all seasons and various other issues. But that same day, Vance and I had Transportation Alliance, and I just want you all to know Vance won the trivia contest.
Trivia contest?
Yeah, so you should be so proud of him.
We were blessed.
Vance and I also had the canvassing board that day, which went really, really well. It was, and we had one person from the public show up, which is unusual. That afternoon, I had Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership. We're looking at building our bench for recruitment. So, and focusing on some of the places that have much more diversity than other places, because our board isn't very diverse. How's that? And that night, I listened in on the community listening sessions on policing and interest. Josh has been extremely involved in that, and so has Paul Barta. So that was good, and there's more coming up. On the 13th, Mayo once a month does a session, and it was all about COVID this time, and you know, the challenges the hospitals are having and how they're staging, depending on how sick you are, or how not sick you are, which hospital you would go to. Then I had Southern Minnesota Clean Energy. Senator Friends talked about legislation he saw happening in the legislature, possibly this year. I think everything's kind of up in the air as to what's going to happen. And then at the Transportation Alliance legislative meeting. On the 16th, which was yesterday, I sat in, Josh and I both sat in on the Rural Equity Summit. That's actually a statewide thing that has started in Mankato with the Diversity Council. Then the AMC HHS Policy Committee. We also met with Transportation, or Public Safety. And then on yesterday afternoon, the NACO Finance and Intergovernmental Affairs, talking yet again about what's eligible for COVID, as we're almost out of time, and also the jobs report that they're seeing where jobs have not necessarily gone up, but where some of the challenges are. And just on the Health and Human Services thing yesterday, we had a person from Hamlin talk about they're pursuing legislation to ensure that in child protection services with adults, that they always have an attorney the first time they meet. I know they've been meeting, she said they've been meeting with the county attorneys and public defenders and human services, all the groups. The interesting piece for me was that used to be the responsibility of the state public defenders. The state, in a cost shift, sent it 100% to counties. And they talked, there might be some 4E money, but that kind of nebulous. So anyway, it's some legislation that they're going to put in again this year. So just so everybody knows.
Okay.
And that's my report, sir.
Thank you very much. Mark, are you ready now?
Yes, my other current report. See, November 4th, we had a department head meeting, virtual. And Kip and I had on Thursday the 5th, our RCF meeting. That was, yep, same virtual stuff. Then I had Maple, we had a board meeting. That was the evening of the 5th, and things are going well there with approving transportation improvement plans. Friday, November 6th, had our AMC District 7 meeting. Took most of that in, pretty much, and then we had our work session on the 10th of November, and then I did on the 11th, I did see our illustrious chair and our county attorney. I was at the Veterans Memorial for the service that morning on the 11th, and nice crisp, clean day, clear. Then on the 13th, the Friday, November 13th, bright and early in the morning at 7 o'clock at our All Seasons meeting, and that's where we did approve the idea of having the city of Mankato become the, I guess, the human relations or the human resources, or having the staff of the All Seasons Arena taking over that. The school district, it doesn't really fit their mission, so they wanted to get away from that. And I think it'll work out well for everybody concerned. Then on Monday, yesterday, I had a general government, AMC general government meeting, and we did have Senator Roger Chamberlain and Representative Paul Marquardt of the both of the chairs of tax committees. Respective tax committees give a little, I guess, their ideas what might happen, which kind of goes from one end to the other, so who knows. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Will?
Okay. On the 5th, we had the detox personnel meeting. We did the annual evaluation for our executive director, and then, as I said previously, she's doing an excellent job, has brought some good ideas to the organization that have worked out very well. And I was at the SWCD meeting later on in the afternoon, and then on the 6th, we had the AMC district meeting in the morning. That's always interesting. The 9th, Kip and I were at the ditch levy discussion for the advisory board there. 10th, we had the work session, of course. 16th, yesterday, we had the AMC Public Safety Steering Committee. We met with Health and Human Services for the first hour, and interesting, very, very interesting discussion. And then in the second hour, then we met with the Public Safety Policy Committee. And then this morning, again, Kip and I had the Brown County Joint Ditch Meeting. Completes my report.
Okay, Kip?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was already mentioned, department head meeting via Zoom. Planning and zoning, we already got the results of that. We had that discussion already. Intergov meeting was talked about a little bit. We had a really good conversation about the ice arenas and the operations of that. And then Mark talked about it again the next day at the meeting they had. Had my SECB legislative meeting. We're just getting things spooled up for the legislation coming up this year. Again, we're not sure how that's going to look, but we are got a couple things we want to get done with the 911 calls and the CPR through 911. So we're working on trying to get some language written up for that. The ditch levies was discussed already. I had an MRCI executive meeting, and things are actually going pretty well at MRCI. They are condensed down to one building up where Mark wants to have the bicycling thing for his organization, and they sold the building in Fairmont, and we don't have a whole lot of interest on the one on Math Drive, but at this point it's still up for sale. They have a few buses left to sell, and they are starting to acquire some vans, because from my understanding is when we start getting spooled up again and getting out in the community, they will have smaller groups of people going out. So it'll be vans of 4 people and then 1 driver, and they'll be just kind of taking care of that van on their own. And sounds like there could be quite a few vans running around, so we're hoping to get that started here shortly. The $75,000 they're getting from the county and the CARES money will be certainly helpful for them. Work session was already mentioned, but I'll just say we did have a lot of things that day we covered, and the conversation about the interchange in Lake Crystal was very informative. And last night I had my MVAC meeting. We are doing that via Zoom, obviously. We just kind of business as usual. They're still just trying to plug along. The thrift store is doing relatively well. We are going to have to see what the governor brings in the future here as far as the thrift store goes, but we are still not meeting people at the MVAC office right now. Everything is by appointment, and a lot of staff working from home at this point. We're just going to kind of keep that going until January and to be determined. And as Will mentioned, we had our ditch meeting this morning. Brings me to today, Mr. Chair.
Well, our last board meeting was on Election Day, and we had, I believe the United States had more people voting than they've ever had in history. So that's kind of a historical day. The 4th, we had our department head meeting, and then I had a county parks advisory meeting. On the 5th, I had a Towards Zero Death South Central Steering Committee meeting. On the 6th, just like everyone else here, I attended the District 7 meeting, and went fairly well. On Monday the 9th, I started out with a transportation infrastructure policy platform discussion. Went on to a MAGIC board meeting, my very last MAGIC board meeting that I'm going to be attending because I got timed out. And then we had a policy coordinating meeting after that, so I had a busy day there. We had a work session on Tuesday the 10th, and I had a transportation committee conference call after that. Veterans Day, I was down at the Veterans Memorial. It's always a great to see the people down there. Let's see, we had, on the 12th, they had a Transportation Alliance annual meeting, and myself and Colleen were very, did a great job by listening in to at the same time we did our caucus. So we did a good job there, didn't we, Colleen?
Yes, we did. You did.
Okay. Yesterday, we had AMC Policy Committee. We went through, I had obviously transportation, and that would be the end of mine. And I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Purvis moves adjournment.
Second.
And I don't think we need a vote on this. We're adjourned.
That one always surprises me. The bang. Is anybody else going to?